like I said, you told your story when you came on the first time. Let's talk about how far you've grown and how much you've grown. Talk about like where you are now versus when you first had the idea of HNIC and just how big you are now.
Man, Jimmy, this thing has gotten so crazy because it legitimately started with three people, me, my cousin, and my best friend, saying, "Hey, we should do a podcast because that's what nerds do. We talk about geek stuff, Marvel, DC, all of the above. So we figured somebody might be entertained by the way we argue and talk trash about each other. So we started with just wanting to do a podcast, but I was a stand-up comedian, and at the time I was writing comedy for an internet radio station, and on the internet radio station they enjoyed my content. So they said, "Hey, Kurt, you've been doing comedy for all these other shows. Would you be interested in doing your own show?" Of course. All right. Well, I'm with that. Well, what would you do the show about? And the first thing that came to my mind was, well, we were already going to do a podcast. Let us do a nerd or blurred centric, which is black nerd. It's a little phrase we done coined in the subculture. Blurred centric radio show. I'll never forget the program manager was like, we're a hip hop station, so let's take it to the big boss to see what he think about it. First thing he said out of his mouth was like, "Okay, I dig the nerd thing, but I don't know how that's going to fit. Let's see if it works out." So they gave us the opportunity, and within 3 short months, we were their number one show. And within 6 short months, we were their only show that was pulling any kind of numbers. And then we realized, like, hey, we may have something here. I really thank those brothers at PC Radio for giving us the opportunity and really springboarding the concept into something more tangible and something real, because I would have been doing it for fun, whereas they made it, they gave us the opportunity to make it into truly a platform. So, while I was there, we were going back and forth, and I was like, hey, there's these streaming services out here. There's OBS. There's all these different ways that we can do the show differently. It doesn't have to just be a radio show or a podcast. We can actually add the video and we can do overlays, and we can do this and that and that and that. Because, we already were hip to the space with Discord and Twitch, and we were already doing gaming streaming. But my major thing was podcasting was way too crowded of a field. Like, everybody and their mom had a podcast, but not everybody was doing quality web shows. And this was before like Facebook really got integrated with OBS and other streaming platforms. So people could go live on their page, but it wasn't like people were doing full-fledged shows like a lot of people are now. So to make a long story short, we evolved from a podcast into a web show, and COVID happened. And the one thing that I'll say about this, we may not have made the same amount of money that we did previously during COVID, but our fan base exploded. Amazing what you can do when nobody can go outside. You ain't got no choice but to sit here and Jimmy and Corey, all people did was consume content.
Yeah.
And it was literally the best time to be an established show with a decent following, a structure, and a brand. All we needed was people to pay attention. And we went from, I think the first time I was on you guys' show, I don't even know where we were, but I know we were touting like maybe around 10,000 followers and hitting 100. I mean, not about 1 million people a month. Right now, after building our page up, assimilating another nerd group's page, and pulling in a collaboration from multiple groups to kind of make a network of different people so that we can broaden our message and hit more platforms at once. We're close to 300,000 followers right now, and we're hitting maybe 50 million people monthly.
Wow. That's impressive, bro.